You're about to hear something most people won't admit. Society is lying to you. Everything you've been taught about power, success, and morality is a facade. But what if I told you there's someone living proof that you can break the rules, expose reality, and still thrive? His name? Kanye West. And yes, he is the truth. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear might change the way you see the world. Second piece of the family, 19 keys tapping in with you. I left you with a video called Kanye is the Truth. And believe me, it is. I know a lot of people will see that title and immediately turn away, and that's okay. Maybe you're exactly the person who should be listening. Often, the very things that repel us hold the deepest insight. Turning away might mean shutting yourself off from a whole world of wisdom, perspectives, and truths you would otherwise never absorb. Consider this. Kanye West has sold over 160 million records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling music artists in history. His 2021 Donda tour reportedly grossed nearly $60 million in just 3 weeks, while his 2021 Jesus is King album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, marking his 9th chart-topping album. Beyond the music, his ventures in fashion, most notably the Yeezy brand, have generated billions in revenue, with Forbes estimating the brand's value at over $3 billion in 2021. These numbers are not just statistics. They demonstrate the scale of influence, the power of cultural attention, and the ability to shape conversations globally. And yet, despite his provocative statements, whether about politics, religion, or society, he continues to thrive. Social media metrics show that any Kanye-related topic sparks millions of engagements. For example, a single tweet from him can generate hundreds of thousands of likes and retweets in under an hour, reflecting the magnetic pull of his influence. This isn't just fandom. It's a reflection of attention as a currency in the modern world. If power is measured by the ability to be heard, to make people think, and to spark discourse, then Kanye is operating at the absolute peak of human influence today. Kanye West represents one of the last unfiltered truths in the world today, a reflection of society itself, a mirror to reality. He forces us to confront exactly how far one can stretch boundaries before society reacts, and the ultimate limit is mortality. That's why the story of Jesus resonates, rising again after 3 days, defying expectations. Kanye, in his own modern way, challenges limits too. In 2021, during his Donda listening events, he reportedly generated nearly $30 million in ticket sales in a single weekend, and his merchandise alone has pulled in millions more. He stages spectacles that blur music, fashion, and performance art, yet despite controversial statements, from politics to religion, he remains culturally untouchable. In a world where public figures are often canceled for a single misstep, Kanye defies the rules. He demonstrates a fundamental truth. Power, when fully understood, does not have to yield to the demands of critics, governments, or social pressures unless it chooses to. His career is proof that influence is measured not by conformity, but by the ability to command attention, spark dialogue, and operate outside the bounds that most people assume are immutable. We live in a society dominated by capitalism, where money is treated as God, and celebrities are modern-day deities. In this landscape, figures like Kanye West are essential because they expose the raw mechanics of reality. What truly drives influence today isn't virtue, morality, or even talent. It's attention. Attention is the ultimate currency, leverage, and power all rolled into one. Consider this. In 2021, Kanye's Donda listening events drew over 40,000 attendees in Chicago, generating nearly $30 million in ticket sales in just a weekend. His social media activity alone can ignite global conversations, with single tweets sometimes generating hundreds of thousands of interactions in hours, showing that in today's world, influence isn't measured by what you create. It's measured by what you can make people engage with. Everything operates in patterns. Kanye exposes these cycles, the rise and fall of cultural trends, the influence of social media metrics, and the mechanics behind what captures public attention. Patterns reveal the truth of power, who really controls society, what rules matter, and what the real game is. The societal shoulds and should-nots, all the moral judgments and social policing, mean very little. He even sold merchandise for as low as $25, defying traditional marketing norms, yet the items sold out instantly, demonstrating that influence can bypass conventional systems entirely. His reach is staggering. According to Forbes, His Yeezy brand has been valued at over $3 billion, and his music career boasts 22 Grammy nominations with 21 wins for various albums and projects, making him one of the most awarded and influential artists of the century. Whether you view him as revolutionary, psychotic, or irrelevant, it doesn't matter. The fact that he commands thought, conversation, and debate is proof of his undeniable impact. In a world where attention equates to power, the only thing that matters is that you think about him. That, more than any accolade or approval, is the purest, most measurable truth of influence in today's society. That is reality. There's very little moralization left in the modern world. Morality can no longer be wielded as a weapon to control or shame others. Kanye West exposes this more clearly than almost anyone. He highlights the contradictions in our so-called Christian nation, especially when leadership itself is deeply compromised, morally, financially, or politically. Consider the fact that the United States perceived corruption according to Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index, 2022. Yet moral outrage is still constantly weaponized in media and online discourse. What Kanye does is deceptively simple. He creates content. He doesn't have the state-level resources or institutional power to orchestrate large-scale harm like governments or global corporations, yet he is vilified for speaking his mind. Meanwhile, figures like Elon Musk are publicly criticized and labeled as dangerous, yet millions of people rely on his technology. From Tesla's electric vehicles, which have sold over 4 million units globally, to Starlink internet providing connectivity in remote areas. Good products, good solutions, transcend their creator. People will consume what works, regardless of the morality or personal reputation of the innovator behind it. Society is filled with contradictions. People act as if morality governs their decisions, yet their spending patterns reveal their true priorities. For instance, despite public criticism of major corporations for environmental or ethical concerns, global consumer spending on tech giants like Amazon and Apple exceeded $1 trillion in 2022, showing that convenience, utility, and attention often outweigh moral concerns. Kanye, by simply creating, performing, and expressing himself, exposes the illusion of morality as a societal currency. He reminds us that actions, especially those backed by cultural and financial influence, speak louder than words or judgments. Where capital flows is where the real truth lies. People may speak endlessly about virtue, morality, or ethics, yet their spending tells a different story. They attend concerts, buy the latest gadgets, subscribe to streaming services, and support brands that contradict their stated beliefs, all while claiming to understand who is good or bad. To truly see the reality of human priorities, look not at their words, but at where they invest their time, energy, and money. That's where values are revealed. According to multiple studies, including Nielsen's 2022 Consumer Spending Report, people often spend dollars annually on fast food alone, while simultaneously criticizing the same industries they patronize. Money is arguably the purest, most objective form of data we have to measure human intent. It bypasses pretense, excuses, and performative virtue. There is the ideal self we present to the world, the curated version shaped by social norms, political correctness, and personal aspirations. And then there is the shadow self, drawn to impulses, comforts, and conveniences, fast food, pharmaceuticals, tech subscriptions, and the very systems we publicly curse. These entities, from government institutions to multinational corporations, exist because we support them, consciously or unconsciously, year after year. Patterns emerge, cycles repeat, and the systems we participate in become self-perpetuating. Our complicity, even when we are aware of it, ensures that these patterns continue, often unnoticed, while we remain convinced that morality guides us. Kanye West teaches one of the most objective truths of our era. In a capitalist society, attention always wins. Influence, visibility, and the ability to capture minds and hearts are more powerful than formal titles, morality, or even wealth alone. Consider this. In 2021, Kanye's Donda listening event in Atlanta drew over 40,000 attendees, with media coverage reaching millions globally, simply by being present, performing, and commanding attention. Attention is the ultimate currency. It amplifies everything else, from product launches to political influence. You can break the cycle, but only after you understand and play the game. Until you have the resources, financial, social, and cultural, to build your own platform, you must operate within the system. The world does not have a single king, a single ruler, or a single puppet master. Power is fragmented, distributed among countless players, corporations, governments, media empires, cultural influencers, and yes, even controversial figures like Kanye himself. Multiple forces, alliances, rivalries, and conflicts intersect at every level, making influence a complex, multi-layered game. Nothing in the world operates simply. Elon Musk may control Tesla and SpaceX, but he competes with governments, regulatory bodies, and market forces. Tech giants like Apple and Google dominate infrastructure, but are challenged by startups and alternative platforms. Even in entertainment, the most celebrated artists navigate a web of labels, agents, and fan expectations. This fragmentation means that the rules of the game are constantly shifting. Kanye's genius is in showing this reality. Power is distributed, influence can be leveraged, and attention, more than morality or wealth, determines what thrives and what fades. Patterns are everything. From the mathematical elegance of Fibonacci sequences to the subtle rhythms of human behavior, speech, spending, and social interactions, patterns reveal the underlying truth of the world. Look closely and you'll see that the way people communicate, what they choose to buy, who they associate with, and even what they ignore, all of it forms a repeating code, a map of priorities and intentions. Patterns allow us to pierce the facade to see the structures behind the illusions. Everything else, the moralizing, the posturing, the opinions, is fantasy. The people who truly master reality don't overthink endlessly. They observe, they analyze, and they operate within the system while simultaneously leveraging it. Consider capitalism. It is a network governed by capital. Politics, education, spirituality, even cultural influence all move according to the flow of money. According to the World Bank, global private consumption reached over $45 trillion in 2022, a staggering reflection of human priorities and desires. Run out of capital, whether financial, social, or cultural, and society effectively forgets you exist. Your voice diminishes, your influence wanes, and the world moves on. Kanye understands this intuitively. He navigates the game with precision, bending rules without breaking them entirely, creating influence and commanding attention where others might fail. He sold $25 merchandise that went viral, performed massive concerts that grossed hundreds of millions, and leveraged social media controversy to dominate the cultural conversation, all while defying traditional expectations. He demonstrates that awareness of patterns and the ability to manipulate them strategically is the truest form of power in a world ruled by attention and capital. Pattern recognition is the key to freedom. Once you can observe the cycles that govern behavior, yours and others, you gain the power to change how you speak, think, and act. You are not your patterns, you are the observer of them. Awareness itself is liberation. Kanye West embodies this principle. People will call him a hypocrite, psychotic, a revolutionary, or a genius, and each reaction is just another pattern repeating across culture, media, and social perception. Once you recognize the repetition, you no longer fall victim to it. You can participate deliberately, leverage the cycles, and even profit from understanding them. In a capitalist world, emotions are quantified. Social sentiment, engagement metrics, and purchasing behavior become data points that reveal the true drivers of human behavior. According to Sprout Social's 2022 report, brands that track sentiment across social media can see how emotional responses translate directly into sales and influence. This is the logic behind Kanye's controversial statements and bold moves. They aren't random. They generate attention, engagement, and ultimately capital. Understanding reality numerically rather than emotionally allows you to navigate the system effectively. It's a skill the top performers in any field, from entrepreneurs to politicians, use daily. Kanye shows that by observing patterns, recognizing cycles, and manipulating attention, you can operate above the chaos of moral judgment and emotional noise. You learn to see the game as it is, not as you wish it to be, and in doing so, you gain a freedom most people never experience. Crown the messenger. Honor those who reveal truth, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Their message becomes invaluable. When you stop attacking the bearer of insight and instead digest their words, you can embody their lessons and execute with clarity and speed. This is a pattern worth cultivating in your own life. Ask yourself, what repetitive cycles in your thinking, behavior, or decisions can you break? What problems in your life remain unresolved because you are trapped in old patterns? Study contradictions, look at lives like Kanye West's. He is full of paradoxes, brilliant yet erratic, revolutionary yet commercial, controversial yet celebrated. These contradictions reveal something critical about freedom, anomaly, and choice. Freedom is not safe, it makes people uncomfortable. If you fully exercise your freedom, thinking in dependently, acting without constraint, questioning social norms, society often labels you crazy. And yet, compliance is arguably even crazier, blindly obeying rules that maintain systems of control while surrendering your own agency. Rebellion, when informed and strategic, reveals the truth about the world we inhabit. It exposes the illusions of morality, social expectation, and authority. It shows you which structures are genuinely restrictive and which are constructs meant to keep you compliant. Kanye's life, like the lives of other disruptive figures, becomes a case study in understanding power, choice, and human behavior. By observing, reflecting, and applying these lessons, you gain the rare ability to live consciously, break the patterns that bind you, and discover the freedom that most people never dare to explore. Kanye says things that make people uncomfortable, things society labels offensive. He declared that slavery was a choice and wore a MAGA hat, acts that sparked outrage and debate across media platforms, trending worldwide and dominating headlines for days. Controversial? Absolutely. But beyond the shock value, these actions illustrate a deeper principle: freedom of will and the artificial limits society imposes on us. We are conditioned to compliance from birth, told what to think, what to say, and how to behave. Kanye breaks those chains. He exposes that consequences are not as rigid or predictable as society claims. History and contemporary culture show that those who defy norms, like Martin Luther King Jr., Galileo, or even Elon Musk, face resistance, yet their audacity reshapes the boundaries of possibility. Real freedom is the power to say and do what others forbid, to test the edges of social, cultural, and moral expectations. Kanye's choices reveal that agency is never absolute, yet the act of claiming it, despite backlash, demonstrates the potential for autonomy within systems designed to limit it. In doing so, he forces society to confront its contradictions. We rage against his statements, yet simultaneously consume his music, attend his shows, and buy his products. His life becomes a mirror, reflecting the tension between compliance and freedom, showing that rebellion is not chaos, it is awareness enacted, a demonstration of the possibilities that exist when one refuses to surrender to imposed boundaries. Society wants you to fit into a box, a neat, digestible package that can be easily understood, controlled, and categorized. It urges you to reduce your complexity, to simplify yourself for the comfort of others. But humans are not meant to be simple. We are made in the image of God, multi-layered, infinite in potential, rich with attributes that cannot be compressed into one role, one label, or one expectation. Limiting yourself for the sake of other people's comprehension is a tragedy. It's a subtle theft of your own potential. Your story begins and ends with you. Every choice, every thought, every action is yours to claim. Will you allow yourself to drift with the masses, swept along by the riptide of conformity? Or will you break free, step out of the current, and create your own path? Will you engage with the things you dislike, the discomforts you instinctively avoid, or will you dismiss them, leaving yourself stagnant? True growth, true expansion emerges from facing discomfort. The very things you judge, the people or ideas you resist, may hold the keys to freedom, enlightenment, and personal evolution. Often the lessons that challenge us the most are the ones that push us to the next level of consciousness. And yet we must remain cautious of what comes too easily. Instant gratification, effortless comfort, or unearned praise rarely builds strength or insight. The most profound transformations come from struggle, from reflection, and from the courage to confront the very things society tells us to ignore. I'm about to host a series of AI workshops right here on this yacht, and it's not just about learning technology. It's about reclaiming your time, your creativity, and your freedom. Technology is a tool, not a cage. When machines handle repetitive, mundane, or computational tasks, humans are freed to create, explore, innovate, and expand in ways that were previously impossible. That's the real power of AI. It amplifies human potential while taking care of the work humans don't need to do. If you want to be part of this journey, comment Zion. Right now, we have a community of 1,500 thinkers, builders, and innovators preparing for our first workshop this weekend. These are people actively constructing systems, frameworks, and AI-driven solutions that enhance life rather than complicate it. Ignore the voices that criticize AI without understanding it. They've never executed deeply enough to grasp its potential. This isn't theory, it's practice. You have a choice. Tap in and become part of a movement that is shaping the future, or tap out and watch from the sidelines. The Opport. Unity is here, but it won't wait. The choice is yours, peace. If you want to join, comment Zion. We have 1,500 thinkers, builders, and innovators preparing for our first workshop this weekend. Ignore the voices criticizing AI. They've never executed deeply enough to understand its power. Tap in or tap out. The choice is yours, peace.